Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We're going to talk about this today. I'm holding it up. If you can see it, that is a wonderful children's book that we've dug into when we've gotten together with him, talking with the author today of Jack Sprout in Beaver Creek Meadow. Wonderful book, accompanied by a CD of music and also a video game for children. And what makes it very unique is there are not only lessons to be learned, but information and insight about our world and our ecology and so much more. The author is Jack Shoop, and he is with us today. Jack, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, Steve. Thank you. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And by the way, this is not just a gentleman who thought, yeah, I'm going to write a children's book. And then, 6 months later, the book is out. This is decades in the making where he started working on this back in the day. And interestingly, he has a, connection to music. That's where the music CD came in and so much more. We're going to focus on one chapter again today. Which one is that going to be, Jack?
Well, it's chapter 5, and we're going to talk about seeds, and it's where Jack Sprout meets Barley and Iris Miller, who run the flour mill. Everybody, as you know, everybody in this book has a job to do and to help the community.
Got it. Got it. And the Barley and Iris are who?
There's Barley and Iris right there.
So they look like chipmunks, maybe? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, they are. They're chipmunks. And this kind of my mother figure in the story. Her second husband, last name was Miller. And anyway, it kind of worked out. So throughout the story, I go to her to advise. Jack Sprout goes to her for advice.
Gotcha. Let's dig in.
Okay. Okay, so in chapter 4, we met Pierre Latrue at his power paddle on Beaver Creek. He told me how to power up my farm and how he made power for all of Beaver Creek Meadow. It started with Beaver Creek rushing under his huge paddle wheel, turning it around and round all day and night. He helped to keep the creek from flooding during heavy rains, too. Pierre would just stop his huge paddle wheel and slow down the fast-moving creek. We don't want to flood the flour mill down the creek for me. That's Barley and Iris Miller's place. Pierre said, you better go talk to Barley and Iris. They have all the seeds that you'll ever need. That's where Farmer Smith and the other farmers get their seeds for planting. Barley and Iris give out the seeds in the spring and they get paid back in the fall. So you've still got a lot to learn about farming, Jack Sprout. I know you'll do okay, though. With those big green ears of yours, you can listen all day long. So as you can see, they're still trying to help Jack get his farm together.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot to learn about farming, I tell you. So I left Pierre's power paddle and headed down Beaver Creek Meadow to find Miller's flour mill. This time, instead of walking beside the creek, I jumped in and swam downstream. I'm a good swimmer, and I was moving along pretty fast. I couldn't keep up with the fish, but I was way faster than the turtles and the frogs. Swimming is good exercise, and I swam until I started to get tired. I turned over to float on my back and looked up at the clear blue sky. This was a good day in Beaver Creek Meadow. I was floating, daydreaming, and having a great time. I was dreaming about my new farm and how great it'd be when it was all done. I noticed the water starting to go a little faster. That was all right. I'd just get to the flour mill quicker. Then the water started moving faster and faster. I wondered what was going on. I turned over and looked ahead. I was headed to Miller's flour mill, all right into the blades of a huge wooden paddle. I had to get out of the creek, and fast. So you see, every little story has a little adventure in it. He's going down, but he's daydreaming, not paying attention. And this is the picture of the flour mill. Looks harmless. But anyway, he was just daydreaming, not paying attention. So after they rescued him, of course, you'd have to read the book, find out how he got out. After they rescued him, they showed him around the mill how they grind all the whole grain, because that's the most healthy way to grind flour. And Iris asked, what are you up to today anyway, Jack? Well, I'm going to need some seeds to plant when I start my farm. Well, we have the best and freshest seeds around, said Barley. We supply all the farmers and gardeners around here. We always have the best seed. That's why everyone trusts us. Where do you get your seeds from? I asked. We get grass seeds from the prairie and flower seeds from the mountains and wetlands. We get herb seeds from the hillsides and bird seed from the woods and forests. Wheat, barley, buckwheat, oat, corn, and soybean, of course, sunflower seeds come from the farmers. Say, we're about to go pick some seeds this afternoon. You want to come along? So this is another little adventure he has. It's a part of the learning and adventure part of being a good neighbor and helping each other out. So they all went Jack Getty's farm together, and they realized he didn't know what he's doing, so they have to help him. So now they're going seed picking. So as we walked through the trees and the flowers, we heard lots of sounds on both on the ground and in the air. Squirrels, rabbits, chipmunks, bobcats, and deer were running around gathering food and playing. All kinds of birds were following us and landing on the plants, eating the seeds. They knew Barley and Iris, but they weren't sure who I was. Barley and Iris could tell the different kinds of birds by the song they sang. And they were trying to tell me the difference. When they heard a song, they'd point and tell me the bird's name, and it was a lot to remember, but I knew I'd be back here again and again. After we were almost done picking, I heard the most beautiful song, much clearer, and it stood out among the others. It was so beautiful and melodic that I had to stop and listen. What is that bird? I asked. I think I heard it once before when I was walking through the East Woods on my way to the Sawdust Miller's sawmill. Oh, that's a special, gorgeous, rare yellow canary. Her name is Betsy, but we call her a honeybee because her voice is so smooth. Isn't her song touching? Most birds can sing only one song, but honeybee can sing hundreds of songs. Her songs can be so intense and emotional that you want to cry sometimes. She can sing happy, sad, and even funny songs too. We just love her in Beaver Creek Meadow. So that's kind of a little insight to where he first heard his honeybee. The second time he's heard honeybee, but they that's just a little adventure where they're going in to pick seeds, and along the way you're hearing nature, you learn seeing what's going on out there amongst the animals, and then the sights and sounds of nature. He hears this bird that he thinks is just beautiful, but he wants to learn more about it. But this just kind of leads people, kids, parents, teachers to find out more about seeds and learn about how, of course, important they are. Everything on the earth that's not human starts with a seed. So we've got a little thing going on with seeds right now, like the GMO, genetically modified organisms.
Mm.
That has a lot of people worried. Some people aren't worried that it's okay, it's healthy. But what it is, it's creating less biodiversity because you don't have as many different variety of seeds because the GMO was basically started because the Roundup that they're putting on corn and soybeans had to keep getting more powerful and powerful because nature was counteracting the earlier Roundup. Okay, so the poison wasn't killing what it was supposed to kill. So now it's got to get stronger. So it got to the point where it was killing the corn and soybeans also. So they had to genetically modify the seeds to withstand more Roundup. To me, that's kind of crazy. So that's kind of how it all got started.
Wow.
So, you think biodiversity, there's a lot of reason people aren't happy with this. Some people are happy. The main thing they'll tell you is that, Jeff, we got to feed the world. We can't feed the world if we don't have GMO. But that lacks diversity, I mean, you get a monocrop going, and that's not good in the big picture. And also, the people that do the GMO have patents on these seeds. So one day you're going to walk up, this one company is going to own wheat. You know what I mean? These guys will own corn. You can't have that. So I worry a little bit about that. And then the wind will blow the genetically modified pollen onto the organic farm.
Mm.
And now you got people suing each other like, hey, you're growing my corn. I didn't say you could do that. I didn't want your corn. The wind blew it over. You know what I mean? So you got that problem going on. So another thing is there's seed banks. I think maybe 1,700 seed banks in the world that store seeds. And the big one is in Norway under a mountain and freezing temperatures, sealed bags. And they own, I don't know how many millions of seeds, but they're there for, when there's a crop failure, there's a natural disaster, some plants will get wiped out. They can go to this seed bank and get seeds and replenish what the farmers lost. So it's very important to have the seed bank, um, to protect our crops, our food, because if all these companies are genetically modifying seeds, and then you've got disasters and global warming or whatever you want to call it. Uh, so, temperatures are changing. We've got to keep our seeds supply. So there's a lot to get into in seeds, and this is just a little glance at how they do in Beaver Creek Meadow. They go out and pick the seeds off the hillsides.
I
So
have to tell you, Jack, I was eating a cereal not too long ago, and it was my interpretation that it was a little more healthier just from the packaging, the marketing, the labeling on it. So actually, somebody gave it to me and they said, this is healthy. And I looked a little bit deeper and right on by the ingredients, it said contains ingredients that are GMO engineered. So kind of makes me
yeah,
uncomfortable. But then as I look deeper, the cereal was made by the big cereal maker, one of like the two.
yeah,
But it's amazing the packaging. I would have not even known. They just created another cereal that is sold in other stores, not your traditional supermarket. And the perception is, well, it's healthier, but it's got GMO engineered ingredients. I really don't want to eat that. So
yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
uncomfortable knowing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really fair that everybody has to be a chemical engineer every time they go shopping for
Right,
food, you know. But it is a visual world, and if it looks pretty, you think it's pretty, and if the guy is a good speaker, then he's got to be a good person. And
right,
it's like we got to get deeper and find out what's really important to us, and go that direction. There's a lot of people. I mean, the whole cereal world. A lot of people don't think cereal, that's healthy to begin with. But the more you crank it up and crush it and bake it, and and the more you do to it, and the less healthy it gets. But yeah, I'm not a GMO guy.
right,
Okay, there's a lot of people who are. I just don't like the idea of changing something to be able to pour more poison on it.
right, right.
I don't think that's the direction to go.
It's
So
yeah, and the other thing is, we talk about organic. If you have a package, and here we go with the packaging, right?
yeah,
It could say contains organic ingredients. Well, it's great, but it doesn't mean the whole thing is organic. So it's just a
yeah,
play on words. If it
yeah,
says certified organic, it's my belief that it is certified by the right agency. All right, so you
yeah.
got something that is organic, but contains organic ingredients. It can be a bunch of garbage in there, and there can be one thing that's organic.
Yeah,
Uh,
everything's organic.
yeah,
Everything's natural, everything's organic. I mean, that's not really
yeah,
that's not telling you much. But I think the why the organic, I used to grow sprouts a lot, and the organic there is well the term organic is basically fertilizers, pesticides, those kind of things. It doesn't really talk about the seed or the water you put on it or whatever. it's mostly to make sure if this is organic, that tells me that it wasn't sprayed with some herbicide, pesticide, or insecticide. That's what it tells me. But it doesn't really tell me about the seed and the soil. This, there's a lot of regenerative farming going on right now, which trying to I'll talk about this in the early worm chapter about soil, because the soil, seed and soil, I mean, those are the two most important things. So yeah, the organic, that's kind of a vague term, really. And
Mm.
all natural is kind of a vague term, but we're buying
Yeah,
it.
we're
Yeah,
buying it, right? And it's funny. I had this epiphany a couple of months ago where it just clicked in my head. I don't know why it's taken this long, but everything in our world comes from the earth. When you
yeah,
think about it, everything, not just food, but the products that we use, the technology that we use, it all truly does start with the earth. We wouldn't, your book came from
yeah,
the earth. There's trees right here.
yeah, yeah,
That everything, piece of metal eventually, somehow came from the earth. If you keep tracing it back, but what do we keep doing? We keep beating on the earth.
yeah,
It's a shame.
yeah. We got to help it out.
We got to help it out. And well, Jack is doing his part in the book, and I feel that he doesn't know everything, but he finds the right people to learn from. Do you feel that that's kind of how he rolls?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he does. Exactly what he does. He's a humble guy that he has a job to do. He was entrusted with being the new farmer, and they all trust him because he's come from the earth. But that's like growing up and say, well, you're tall, so you got to go do this, or you're good
Right.
looking, so you got to go do that. Well, he's come from the earth, and they want him to be a farmer. They trust him, so that puts the responsibility on him to come through for him. So he'll ask anybody anything, and he's humble in that way. And they all want to help him, but they all do the same thing. We'll help you, Jack Sprout, but you got to do the work yourself.
Mm.
So he has to go home and do that.
If if Jack held a news conference and every network, every media outlet, every social media connection was focused on him right now, cameras, microphones, phones, devices, everybody right there. Jack, you're
Just a small question. Huh?
Jack, you're on. What's your
Yeah.
message for the planet? And he had to deliver a short message based on his learning, um, teachings, and all of that. What would his message be to all of us?
Well, we're on this planet, and this planet, I don't know who designed it, how it came about. I mean, there's lots of theories, but there's everything we need for life on this planet. Our job is to help it in any way we can. We don't need to save it. We don't need to, obviously, we don't need to destroy it, but we need to help it. And if we help it and work with it, everything will be okay.
Well said. I'm curious that Jack in the book, very optimistic, very friendly. Have there been moments in the book, and it could even be chapters that we haven't gotten to, where he experienced some disappointment for whatever it might be, whether it's some of the creatures, whether it, he sees what people are doing to the planet? Are there any disappointments along the way?
Well, there's one, not from Jack. Jack is all wide-eyed and big ears. His big ears come into play many times in the book. People tell him about his big ears, and he says, "I got a lot to learn. I need to listen a lot." But so he's not disappointed in anything. He's always amazed at how everything works. But there is one character in the book, Red-tailed McAllister, who's a red-tailed hawk. And what he does, he soars high above the meadow all day long on the wind currents. And he just looks down and watches what's ever going on. And he has a chapter where he loses his mind pretty much. He
Really?
didn't, yeah, he didn't like what's going on. See, there were early days at Beaver Creek Meadow when they were throwing their flour in the water and they were burning too much. and they had forest fire. There's a lot of things that were going wrong, and he didn't like what he saw. So I'll tell you later, but he went crazy one day, and he basically sucked the air out of Beaver Creek Meadow.
Wow.
Three.
You know what? We'll press the pause button. Why don't we reconvene, circle back on that next time we get together?
Okay, well, that's not the next chapter, but we'll see.
Well, it'll be there at some point.
Yeah, we'll be there at some point. Yeah, we're on chapter 6 next
time.
Next chapter, I'm going to talk about the soil.
Best way for parents, educators, anybody to learn more about the book and everything that goes along with it. How do we find it?
Well, I'm on Amazon, so people can buy the book off Amazon, and my jacksprout.com website. They can buy the book there. And if they send me a picture on my email, jack@jacksprout.com, I'll send them along the supplemental. I've got a supplemental information about each chapter that you can go back and kind of help you study. And also, I'm having hopefully I'll have a billboard up. How you like that in West Hollywood? It's supposed to be all signed off and everything. It's a digital billboard, so it'll have my email on it. So
Very cool.
that's going to happen in the next week or so. So that'll be exciting.
Wow, good for you. And I hope the billboard is more vertical and horizontal because I don't know how we're going to fit Jack on there. But that's I think
Jack's on there. It's a long and narrow.
I overthink.
Yeah.
Jack, thank you so much for being here today. Great book, a lot of insight, and a lot of great educational things for children. And appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Same. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.